here it goes. Another lie we've been told about certain foods. And this topic is on gluten-free. Anytime something says gluten-free, it's perceived as being healthier, right? You got Honey Nut Cheerios, gluten-free, Frosted Cheerios, gluten-free. And the reason I want to do this video is I hear this all the time. I'm on the gluten-free diet, I'm eating less gluten, but there's a couple things I want to mention. Number one, what are they replacing that gluten with? Well, we have sugar, corn starch. This is the stuff they use in ironing to make your clothes very, very stiff. But would you ever eat cornstarch by itself? No. So in the kind breakfast, we have brown rice flour, cane syrup, 29 grams of carbohydrate per serving. There's a lot of carbohydrates in here. And if you look at the fine print for this one, it contains bioengineered food ingredients. That is a nice way of saying it's GMO. So gluten is the only protein that humans cannot digest. And over the years, we've added more and more gluten to the diet. It's created a lot of problems with gut inflammation. My main point is that gluten-free is not any healthier at all. They're still loaded with seed oils, sugar, and starches. And sometimes it's not even cornstarch, it'll say food starch because then they can use other types of starches. We know gluten destroys the gut, okay, but these refined starches and sugars actually also destroy the gut. The good bacteria prefer fiber, but the bad bacteria will thrive on refined sugars and starches. So when you're dumping all this extra carbohydrate into the digestive system, you are creating an overgrowth of bad bacteria. And when this bad bacteria breaks down and dies, a lot of times it releases a byproduct. And this byproduct is very, very toxic. And this creates a whole chain reaction of inflammation of the liver, a fatty liver. In fact, so many people have skin issues, inflammation of the skin. It's called dermatitis. And so they use creams and lotions and potions and all these other things. But they're not looking deep into the gut because there's a big disconnect between what's going on in the gut and your skin. And if you have too much bad bacteria in your gut, your skin's going to be terrible. It's going to have a lot of issues. That's problem number one. The second thing I want to talk about is how do they remove this gluten protein from the grain? Do they just add water to it and kind of let it just dissolve? No, they add several chemicals, enzymes, acids to extract the protein from the grain. And what are we left with? A more highly refined product. So if it was refined before, now it's really refined. You also have to realize what starch is. Starch is basically sugar. It's a chain of sugar molecules connected together. It will create more of a blood sugar effect than actual sugar. So in your mind, if you think that starches are healthier than sugars, no. Starch is worse than sugar on the glycemic index because they spike your blood sugar. So they have gluten-free cookies, gluten-free bread, gluten-free crackers, and granola bars. So just don't buy the concept that they're any healthier at all. The other interesting thing about gluten-free products is it's just low in protein. Protein is the thing that satisfies us. The problem is there's just such low protein in this, we'll just keep eating it because there's nothing to satisfy us. This creates overeating. This creates cravings. Two of the common ingredients that they use in gluten-free products would be rice flour and tapioca flour because both of those don't have gluten in it. But let's just talk about rice flour. Rice has a unique ability to bind with arsenic in the soil. It's a poison. So on top of all the carbohydrates and sugars, we have extra added arsenic. Gluten-free was supposed to initially help us with digestive problems. It's going to give us something called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. These pathogens that are growing in the small intestine compete with the good bacteria. They basically grab and eat up your vitamins and minerals. And in their minds, a lot of times they think that, well, fiber is going to help them. So the more fiber they consume, boy, the worse that they get because they're going to get fermentation that normally should be in the large intestine happening in the small intestine. And all that inflammation over a period of time, if they continue to do it, is going to create a lot of inflammation, leaky gut. And whatever's going on in the gut is going to be happening up here too. So mentally, you're going to be moody. You're going to have a lower emotion. You might have anxiety. You might have depression. And all of that is coming from the gut. Now, I've talked to a lot of patients who had SIBO in the past. And it's interesting because when they get an antibiotic for maybe some other reason, they feel wonderful. It's the thing that really solves they're bloating. And so they might think that's a good thing, so they want to get another antibiotic. But the reason why it's working, it's killing off bacteria, but it's killing off the good and the bad. Certain types of other bacteria start to grow in large amounts, especially yeast and especially candida. And this is why one of the side effects from antibiotics is a candida infection, a yeast infection. Now we have nothing in there to keep those bad guys in check. They get out of control. So a person normally will feel better after the antibiotic, but then over time they get worse. And so they go on another antibiotic, they feel better, and it gets worse to the point where these antibiotics don't work anymore. These microbes have developed this resistance, and now the next round of antibiotics don't work anymore because they have such an altered microbiome. They no longer have the diversity of microbes. Now they have a hard time digesting anything. They have certain allergies. They might develop an autoimmune disease. One way to develop an overgrowth of unfriendly bacteria is to consume a lot of gluten-free ingredients. Another way is take antibiotics. The solution is if you see something that's gluten-free, read the actual ingredients. And yes, you may need to avoid gluten, but don't get another product that has even worse ingredients. I'd highly recommend taking all grains in general and all seed oils and all sugars and put them way over here. Put them to the side. Start eating whole foods like meats and vegetables. But if the fiber from the vegetables make things worse, where you feel bloated, you may need to do the carnivore diet for a few months to get things back in check. But here's the thing. When someone does a carnivore diet, they're eliminating a lot of things that can create problems with the small intestine. So they're going to feel a lot better. The question we still have is, can you do this long term? We don't know. Should we go back to some fiber? And at what point? We don't know. But what we do know is there's probably missing microbes that created the problem in the first place, the inability to digest fiber, for example, because that's what microbes do. They help break down fiber. We don't have the ability to break down fiber. If you have any problems with digesting fiber, we know there's missing microbes, probably from an antibiotic, or it could be from just eating this crap right here. In which case, you have to put these microbes back into the gut. One way to do it is to start consuming more fermented foods. Now, this could be fermented dairy, unless you're allergic to dairy, like raw cheese or kefir or yogurt, but also fermented vegetables like sauerkraut, kimchi, pickled vegetables, pickles. All of those are excellent. Because we're on a very important topic, digestion, I want to give you a complete knowledge of how the digestive system works. And for that information, I want you to watch this video right here. Check it out.